Hello and welcome to the Free Cheese episode 590. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Matt Sellner.
Hello.
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. This week, we bring Season 12 to a close. In the second part of our finale, we will talk about everything we didn't talk about on the podcast throughout 2024. We'll each share our favorite games we played. We'll alternate back and forth in an open forum style. Then, we'll discuss a few of the trends and news stories from 2024 and how we align with them or don't. Before we jump in, Matt, do you remember your game of the year 2014? 10 years ago.
2014.
2014.
What's out 2014?
A lot of stuff.
Is that the Bloodborne Rocket League?
That's 2015.
What's 2014?
I
the
feel-
Googles.
Yeah, I forget the big ones. For me, it was Shovel Knight. I remember that very, very strongly. But I think that was the Dragon Age Inquisition year. Yes, it was.
Yes. My God, Destiny. Holy shit.
Was Destiny 14? Oh my gosh. Wow.
That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, no.
Game of the Year
it was.
stuff. Oh, Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. We had Smash Brothers for Wii U that year. Bayonetta 2 hit, which I didn't play that for years after. Velocity 2X. That was a dope game. Yeah, it was pretty great. There were some games.
Looking at the looking at the game, the hard hitters. It's tough, but Wolfenstein or probably Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And that Wolfenstein would have been the New Order, so the first of the reboots.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know if I put my actual... I don't think we were doing lists on the website. I'm looking. I don't think it's there. We have our actual Game of the Year awards for that year. We, as a website, gave it to Shovel Knight after some debate. We also, you'll love this, guess what we gave Console of the Year to in 2014?
Console of the Year.
Console of the Year.
PlayStation 3.
The Wii U.
What came out? 2 games?
Smash Brothers, Mario Kart 8.
That'll do it.
Yeah. Those are the big ones. We gave 3DS Handheld of the Year. We gave Nintendo Developer of the Year. We gave The Last of Us Left Behind Best Story. Best Remaster went to Oddworld New and Tasty. Best Score went to Shovel Knight. Single Player Shovel Knight. Multiplayer Mario Kart 8. Game of the Year Underdog went to PT. I don't even remember us having this award. The most fun gaming experience. South Park, The Stick of Truth. Most anticipated game of 2015. Uncharted 4. Favorite 2013 game of 2014. GTA 5. Do you remember our game of the year? This one you were here 5 years ago.
2019?
2019.
Is that the God of War year?
That was 2018.
What was it after? Is that Final Fantasy?
That was 20.
Jesus Christ, I'm dancing around it.
I know.
No, Tetris Effect didn't get it. I don't. No, I can't remember. I'm trying to go back to best of the best.
Resident Evil 2 in 2019.
I was thinking 7, but I forgot that 2 remake. Because I knew we didn't give it the 7. I knew 7 like top 3, but not somewhere. It did not win.
Yeah, we gave it to Resident Evil 2 with runners-up Fire Emblem 3 Houses, Control, Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night, and Devil May Cry 5. Do you remember your favorite game of 2019?
Control sounds right, but I don't know.
Control was your number 3.
I'm trying to think.
Your number 2
do something dumb and do like Dota?
Wars. It is. It's Dota Auto Chess / Dota Underlords.
Man, Auto Chess. More to come on Auto Chess later this episode.
Oh, really?
Not what you think, but
oh boy,
something comes back.
Yeah. All right. For me, 2019, 5 years ago, my game of the year was Session. Which that checks out. Followed by Kind Words, and then Bloodstained. That was a good year. Hey, Ring Fit Adventure came in at number 5 for me.
Sick.
It's pretty good.
Ringer Fit.
That's the one. Well, Matt, it's 2024. It's time for us to talk about the games we played in 2024. Now, listener, this ain't your average 2024 end-of-year podcast talking about video games. Instead of just sticking to like, hey, here's the best, and you just heard us talk about our game of the year and the awards. We stopped doing that in 2020. We're done. We're away from that. We've changed the format, but we still like to celebrate the things we played. And I'll kick things off here with the game I've maybe I spent the most amount of time with this game this year. I've certainly spent a significant amount of time with it. Pokemon Violet. That's right, not a 2024 game at all. Not even a 2023 game. But this was a weird one for me. There's a couple games. A couple of these actually. I'd like to personally thank and shout out Kyle Bossman, because I would watch Kyle's streams of certain games, and Kyle has a very he's very open-minded when he plays games. He's patient, and he tries to find the fun in things. And it's the thing I always preach, like, look for what a game is, not for what it isn't. And it's something that's tough to do. It's easy to say, it's tough to do. And I feel like he does it really, really well, where he just talks about what he likes about things and whatever. Granted, it's easy when a game is like very bad or it's just disappointing enough to let it bother you. But anyway, so watching him, I saw him play Pokemon Violet and its DLC, and I was like, this kind of looks dope. And I ended up, my theme this year, we kicked off the year in our predictions episode with sort of declaring what is our theme. And for me, you and I kind of were the antithesis of one another, where you were sort of like, hey, if I'm not having fun, I'm moving on. And for me, I was like, I need to finish video games. I don't finish enough games anymore. So, things I buy just sort of are left unfinished. And I made that partially because of Pokemon Violet, Persona 5 Royal, Marvel's Midnight Suns, all games that I finished this year. Yakuza Kiwami 2 I finished this year. So like, hey man, we did it. Pokemon Violet I completed the Pokedex on. I finished the first half of the DLC. I'm still working my way through the second half of the DLC, but it's chasing that Pokedex in that, because I completed the Pokedex in the first DLC. It's a grind. But it's good, man. I stand by, we talked about it on our Pokemon episodes throughout the year. Pokemon Violet and Scarlet, presumably, I haven't touched it, but they are the best Pokemon games that have ever been made. Just, they run like trash. And they kind of look like trash here and there. But man, if you just play it, it's definitely not as bad as what you've probably seen in screenshots or GIFs floating around the internet. But sticking with it and playing. I'm like genuinely happy I did. I think the story was fun. The DLC stories have both been really incredible so far as well. I really can't recommend Pokemon Violet enough if you're looking for something to do on your Switch. Yeah. The other big one I'll lean into with watching Kyle streams. I saw Kyle stream a bit of Marvel's Midnight Suns, and I had bought that I bought it right before Spider-Man 2 came out last year. And I played it for a little bit, and then Spider-Man 2 came out. I beat Spider-Man 2 that opening weekend, and then I went back to Midnight Suns and then just dropped it and was really not having a great time with it. And then I went back to it and just stuck with it. Dude, that game's so good. Again, like the first time I played it, I kept thinking, oh, it's going to be XCOM with Marvel characters. And it wasn't. And I was turned off for what it wasn't. But then I went back to it for looking for what it was. And it's rad, dude. Like, I loved building out my party or swapping characters in and out, seeing which cards were going to work better for different attacks, like taking on the challenge of each stage, making my character look as stupid as possible. A lot of fun. The story's not great. Running around the manor was laughable, but I ended up loving that part of it too. Like, a lot of depth to Marvel's Midnight Suns, and I still have it installed. I am like, there's a light dark meter in the game, so you need to there's a trophy for filling it to both ends of the spectrum. I filled it to dark, and the only trophy I need for the platinum is to fill it to light. And the only way to do it in game where I'm at right now without whatever is to go through all of these things and you have to basically decrease from level 200 dark to 0 and then go to level 200 light. But if you just do New Game Plus, you can get it right to 200 light, faster. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, man. I love that game. Still go back to it here and there to play some of the DLC stuff. I will continue to work my way back through that till I get that platinum. But I recommend that if you like any of the XCOM stuff, if you like Marvel characters, if you like strategy, Marvel's Midnight Suns. And that's kind of that's the big end on the things that I played that didn't come out this year. What about you? Do you have any that didn't come out you want to talk about, or what's the first game you want to highlight?
I'll stick with the not in this year window. I keep coming back to Final Fantasy 14, and I didn't. It was very early in the year, but yeah, in January, I put a month in. I put some time in, and I got through. I can't remember if I beat a Realm Reborn when I put it down. I was right at the end though. If I didn't beat it, but I got through that. That wave 1 of content, wave 2 of content that you said was a drag, and it kind of is a drag. But then I got the Heavensward finally, and it picked back up. And my month timing of another game I will talk about here later in this episode. But the month ended at the perfect time of me hitting the halfway point of Heavensward, and I'm probably gonna pick up another month or two here relatively soon, if not already by the time this goes up. But that game, it's your typical, just what I think I would expect from any kind of major MMO where, it's a lot of quest to quest. But I've kind of started to see some of the raid stuff, which is bizarre, and I don't know what the hell is going on, which is cool but daunting at the same time. And yeah, I'm just sticking with it. I've been a white mage this entire time. I got to the point where I was starting to get new powers and having to really get real good at my the different hot bars or action bars.
Oh, yeah.
I forget what they're called on console.
And there's a certain rhythm to those too. That when you get into it, it's you feel powerful and effective.
Yeah, so I'm getting into it. The Heaven's Ward story definitely grabbed me more. Again, this is more that what I've heard about playing this game as the expansions get stronger, and I definitely felt that with Heaven's Ward. I felt more attached to the characters and the world than I ever did in A Realm Reborn. So yeah, no, I'm gonna probably, like I said, I want to try to get to the next one. I can't remember the next one after
Stormblood.
Stormblood, yeah. Yeah, I want to get the Stormblood. I do eventually want to catch up and get the Dawn Trail at some point. I know I'm far, far away from it, but yeah, I will keep poking at this game from time to time. But I did start my year off with this.
Yeah, I want to go back to it too, and I think I think that's the best way to do it is when you're doing it, because we'll motivate one another. Because you're right, Heaven's Ward is a lot more engaging than that like post A Realm Reborn content. But I also just kind of equally fell off of it in favor of other things. But I played a bunch of Final Fantasy 13 over the summer, and I'm not done with it. I want to go back to it, but playing that really got me in the mood for like, maybe I should go back to 14 soon. And now I'll say it again. Maybe I should go back to 14 soon. Because it's good. Because, yeah, like Stormblood I want to see, but also Shadowbringers was the one that made everybody cry, and I want to see that. I really want to do the Nier raid. That's the only reason I really came back to this game a few years ago, is because I want to do that Nier raid. But, yeah. In the opposite direction of things, I played a game called Euphoria the Saga 2. For those trying to Bing that, it is F-O-U-R-I-A. Euphoria, 4, the Saga 2. This is from Sunsoft, and it's a sequel like 30 years after to one of their Famicom titles. I don't even know if it came out here. It might have been on NES. I can't remember now. But it's a platform adventure game where you play as 4 different little characters, and it's straightforward. It's very easy to get into. I think I beat it in a couple of nights just kind of hanging out. It's very, like, just relaxing. It feels like picking up an old SNES or NES game. But the art looks like these little clay dolls. It's not quite claymation, but it's all like so handcrafted. It's cool. That one came out this year. It was like a weird surprise. Like Sunsoft has been doing these things on YouTube where they're like, hey, Sunsoft is back. And it's like, where? And this was kind of the first big thing. Alongside, the licensing rights are a mess. I'll leave it at that. Clock Tower Rewind was also reissued by Sunsoft this year in partnership with some other people. And that's been a fun little package to play around with as well. But yeah.
You mentioned, I should have stepped in, but you mentioned Nier. I did another game from, not this year. I did play through Nier Replicant finally. When I say play through, I saw it all.
Yeah, you went, because this one, we didn't play the original Nier.
No, the version 1.228, whatever the hell. Yeah, the remaster.
Because the remaster added more endings than the original had, right?
It added one more.
Okay.
It added one more that it starts to bridge some stuff. I didn't see like the full grasp of Bridge into Automata, but they start to play with that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I bought the game originally on Xbox when it first came out, and then I barely played it, and I put it down, and I just don't know if I wasn't in the mood or something else took my attention away, but yeah, I don't know what it was, but I was just like, oh, I don't remember what the thing was that made me kind of go back to this, but once I got back into it, I was in it, and yeah, I did it all. And getting into multiple endings kind of sucks in this game because there's a lot of retreading old ground.
Yeah.
Just to like make a different decision at the end, but no, Automata does it better, but there is enough just small little story, just cinematics or whatever at the right time to change some things. But no, I had a really good time with it. So much so that it took me to Automata as a replay, and I was beginning to go through it. There was a lot of things in Automata. I was like, huh, I never realized that. Huh, there's that thing. But then, I don't know, for some reason, Automata kept fucking crashing on my PS5. I don't know. It was like I don't know. It was a whole... I did the whole boss battle with the big giant eye thing right outside in that lake area. And I got through, like, the first bit of it. And it didn't checkpoint me right, and it crashed right there, and it kind of soured my whole...
That'll do it, man. It doesn't take much, and because we got too much to play, whether it's for the podcast or otherwise. There's always something else. If something's not,
Yeah, because that was on the eve of something else dropping later, and there's a theme here. Got to finish things before major things.
Get the grind in.
And I thought I could do Automata. The crashing started, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to this game and see, and then see what's up. But no, I forgot. I did play through Replicant.
Yeah, Replicant's good. Speaking of returning to treaded ground, I played Shiren the Wanderer, the mystery dungeon of Serpent Coil Island, which is a super dope roguelike. If you recognize the title Mystery Dungeon in the full title here, this is the latest in the Mystery Dungeon series. It's the latest in the Shiren the Wanderer series. It's a cool dungeon crawler roguelike thing. The neat thing with this one, it's on Switch, but it actually just came out on PC. If you're out there and you're wondering, check it out, watch a video of it or something, and see if it's up your alley. It is all like literally like old school rogue, like take a step, your enemies take a step. Like it's all of that stuff and being intentional. You get scrolls in the game that you don't know what they do until you use them. So sometimes they're good, sometimes it's all the classic rogue stuff, but you're kind of making your way deeper and deeper into the island. And there's different conditions you have to hit to like unlock whatever. It's not quite like the more modern like roguelite thing. Like this is true roguelike. Like you need to like, if you fail and you got to restart and everything. But the cool thing here is the online component. So if you die, you can like say, hey, I'm dead, come help me. And you post your death to a board and people can like go to the board, see who's dead, and they can come rescue you. So what was neat for me playing this is like, I would go as far as I could, have a great run. Oh, whoops, I made a wrong mistake or something just came out of nowhere and killed me. I'm going to post my death, see if someone can save me, and I'm going to go try and save some other people. And I do some of that. And usually like within a day or so, someone would come get me and I could just kind of do that. I played the game solid for like a month, just almost every day, just working my way
mechanic.
Through. It's good. It's real good.
I didn't do the full rogue, but I did the rogue light thing. I returned to something, another game I forgot about, and so you reminded me here. Just a couple months ago, I played through a lot of Darkest Dungeon 2. I returned to it after I started playing it initially on in early access. It's an easy concept to describe. It's Oregon Trail meets a roguelike with like the Darkest Dungeon battle system with the stress levels and honestly, it's a lot of the same classes and types of move sets that those classes had in Darkest Dungeon 1. But yeah, no, it's just run based. You don't have to like that thing of like, oh, you permanently lose a character. Like, yeah, you permanently lose the run, but it's not as like, oh man, I grinded 30 hours to get that person to level 5 finally, get them ready, and then they die to some random or to some bad RNG roll. So it feels a little bit better, but yeah, like I would, this is like it's 2. It has has a 2 proper 2 on it, but it is besides just the combat and the classes, it plays completely different than the first Darkest Dungeon game.
You think it's better?
And I think it's more approachable. I will say that. I don't think it's better. I think it depends on what you want to play. If you want to play like a roguelike, go this way. If you want to play a proper RPG, like party system RPG, go the other way. I think they both have their advantages and disadvantages. But yeah, no, in terms of just like getting to know the classes and stuff like that. Again, there's small differences in the damage scaling and items and things of that nature from the first game. But no, definitely more approachable.
One thing that made the Playdate incredibly approachable this year was Lucas Pope releasing Mars After Midnight, which kind of drove myself and everybody back to the Playdate that they forgot they had in their desk drawer. Mars After Midnight, if you haven't seen it, it's from the dude what made Papers, Please and Return of Obra Dinn. Essentially, you run a clinic that's doing like support groups for monsters or Martians, I guess. Yeah, you're on Mars. And basically, it's like, I forget all of them now. There's like people who don't smile support group. Like it's something as silly as that or whatever. And basically, thinking of the Playdate with the Crank, you first put out a poster or a series of posters throughout the town that say, hey, we're hosting this on this night. And you target the areas where people are known to be affected by that affliction. You invite them, and then it's a matter of like opening the door after midnight to start letting these people into the support group. But you do it by turning the crank to open the door flap, and you look at the alien that's outside, watch, and you're looking for the specific things, right? So it's like, if it's people who don't smile, anybody who smiles, you just close the thing and make them go away. But otherwise, you just kind of watch and see like, wait, they're not smiling, I'll let them in. And you do that for so many Martians, and then there's like another element to it where you like put food out for them and you have to clean up the table after they destroy it or whatever. But generally the game is that peeking out to see who's there and seeing if they meet the conditions.
It's checking their checking their...
Yeah. It's 100% like Lucas Pope made that game. But it's a really neat, fun experience. Great music. And it got me to like start poking into Playdate again. Playdate announced a season 2 is coming for more games. But what's been cool about Playdate is so many people are making games for it now because it's super approachable to program for. Even if you don't know programming, you can use the Pulp online editor, which is like a drag and drop game maker.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
It's cool. It's a little bit more advanced than like a Mario Maker, but I think if you're, kind of technically you could pull it off. And someone did. Because my actual favorite Playdate game of the year is called Touch Egg. It's so good. It's exactly what you think. It's about you control, so there's a finger, your finger. Turning the crank extends the finger across the width of the screen. And the whole goal is to just touch this egg as many times as you can. And you're just poking the egg. But there's a guy there sleeping, and he'll occasionally wake up. And you need to not be touching the egg when he wakes up. Otherwise, it's just a perfect little game loop WarioWare thing to see if you can beat your high score and just keep running. It's good music. It's a fun game. The art's really, really great. That one, Touch Egg, was top notch. Like a great, great surprise. And that one, I want to get it right. Joella. Sorry, Joel. So yeah, you can buy it. I think it's in the catalog on Playdate. You can buy it on itch for like $1. It's a single screen game, but there's egg achievements you can unlock. It's pretty good. And there's a good sense of humor. Like even on the itch page, there's a screenshot of the achievements you unlock, and there's 5. And the features listed is over 4 achievements. Like, yeah, it's good.
It's pretty good. I'll talk about a surprise. Sure. Let's get into the big one for those that follow or care. I'm in the follow maybe category of the Game Awards. Of the Game of the Year nominees, I think there's one that sticks out like a sore thumb that no one expected to be there. It's that little card game called Balatro. I have fallen victim to the Balatro train in the last month here, and damn it, it's so good. It's so addicting.
What is the hook? Because obviously it took
So-
over the world and everyone loves it, but I haven't tried it yet, so I don't know what the thing is.
It's a blend of, it's like poker against kind of like I don't want to say yourself, but against, you're pretty much playing poker, and your goal, like, the term ante is a poker term, right? Like, you have to pay an ante to play a hand.
Sure.
So, you essentially you level up these antes, and then in each ante there's a small blind, a big blind, and then a boss blind. But essentially, at the end of the day, you're just trying to hit the score necessary with the cards you have. So, like, and different hand types, they're poker types. Different hand types in poker give you different scores and multipliers. And then where it gets crazy is there's a shop. So here's the thing with doing a blind. You unlock the ability to obtain or get access to the shop. And in the shop, you can buy new cards, new power-ups, and one of the main things is buying jokers. And these jokers do a variety of things.
Okay.
And there's things to increase your multipliers, things to increase the chip score onto the multiplier, things that's like, this joker will mimic the ability to your right, so you can do ridiculous, like, just double. It's all about ways of maximizing your score, and you can even do dumb things like, the jokers will trigger in order from left to right. You can do things where you can, like, one hand in the blind, you can put the joker in the middle to do something, and then it wants to do something else like the next hand, so you move it over to the right. It becomes like this poker strategy game. There's not just one kind of deck too. There's all kinds of decks that have different rules. The difficulty, once you beat a run, it's getting through 8 antes, but you can keep going to endless to see how high you can get. But the stakes are, that's what they call the difficulties. You get a basic one, and then the stake goes up where it's like, oh, the scores that required for in each ante go up more rapidly. But then there's ones where it's like, some jokers become eternal, which means like you can't sell them to get better ones. You have to kind of keep them. So if you buy if you get an eternal joker that's like good for the early game, but not good for the end, you're kind of stuck with it. So you kind of have to pick and choose some battles there. So there is like just all these different mechanics, like foil, polychrome, like anyone that's played it knows exactly what I'm talking about, but you kind of have to play it to understand exactly what each of these things do. But this goes back to my auto chesting. Typically, unless you pick some special decks, typically the money system in the shop, there's an interest to it, where if you keep enough money, you get interest on your money, much like you do in auto chess. By not buying, you save and you don't go all in on heroes, so that way you can keep getting enough money for the bigger heroes. In this game, you keep getting more money to unwrap more packs and add cards and whatnot to your thing. It really is a beautifully put together, and not like explaining it without looking at it seems complicated, but once you see the board and you kind of see like the playthrough of like one or two antes, you'll get what this game is. And the cool thing was, I didn't even realize it for a while, but if you have Apple Arcade, the iOS version is there. And the cool thing there is it is cross save. So like my progress from my iPad and my phone carried over, which is nice. I did the dumb thing though too. I bought it on Steam, so I also have it on my computer with a completely different save. So yeah. I'm chasing one thing on my Steam save as I am on my iOS save. And really runs, depending on, this is another cool little thing, the game speed, there's a game speed adjuster. So like once you kind of get what's going on, like the game speed is slow, so you just crank it up to like 2 or 3 and just like pop, 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 pop.
That's great.
So yeah, like that's really depending on your game speed and your understanding of what you're trying to build and whatever. You can get through a run in like a half an hour. It's really not that long of a game. But yeah, no, it's super interesting. It's worth checking out. At least like see a run all the way through, because if you see a run that's just one build, like you can do so many different builds, and it's so much of it relies on the deck type that you have, and also like the stakes you're trying to work around and stuff like that. And the boss blinds are always interesting. Like the boss blinds could be something like you can only play one type of hand, and you pick the hand, but you have to stay consistent with it. Or it could be once you play a hand, you can't play it again. So like if you're a one trick pony, like you have like a flush build, like that boss blind is going to be your nemesis here. So like there's things around it, like there's a boss blind that that debuffs all hearts, diamonds, stuff like that.
Is there a beating the game?
I mean, like, yes, I guess if you go through all the difficulties and whatever, I haven't gotten to it yet on either of my saves, but there is a challenge mode, so I don't know what is all in detail in the challenge mode, but you have to complete 5 runs with 5 different decks. I just haven't done that. Like on iOS, I was trying to do one deck and do all the stakes. And I just haven't on my Steam. That was the one I was trying to get to the challenges. I just don't play the one on Steam that much compared to my iOS. But I've pivoted because I just know my playtime when this one's been dwindling. So yeah, I guess more on that later. But no, it's like the perfect, just like you're sitting on the couch, just do it. I don't know. It's become my like pull out my phone, and instead of like scrolling through TikTok like an asshole, I've been now just doing a Balatro run or whatever.
That's good. I like when a game can do that, especially on phone, capture your attention like that and keep you off of the other stuff. Yeah, that one's one that's like, I've not played it, but I've heard so much about it, and it's scary from the outside without playing it and being in it, because it seems daunting, but obviously you and a bunch of people have been able to jump into it blind and pick it up pretty quickly. There's a really great interview with the creator on the podcast Eggplant, The Secret Lives of Games, which was formerly a Spelunky show. Then it turned into a game dev show, and now they're taking 1 year to go 1 week at a time through all of the games in UFO 50, covering one game per episode, which sounds familiar. But yeah, speaking of, UFO 50 came out, and I played a bit of it. I'm not done. I don't think I'm going to be done for a long time, because it's 50 full video games. Like, I heard a joke that it's the first game to put a backlog of games inside of your backlog of games. Like, it's huge. But the really cool thing, I know it's there, but I've been intentionally not looking for it and trying to stay spoiler free. But I think much like Spelunky, where there's a whole like meta to it and some secrets, I think there's secrets to UFO 50 when you start looking at things, and like there's a meta within it. But the concept of it is there's a game studio that made a bunch of games. They never published them. They just sat in a box, and now this team found this box, and they're the preservationists of this old company, and they're releasing them. So the team that found it is the real world team, Derek Yu and everybody else who worked on the game. But the company's obviously fictional. They do, though, go in like chronological order. So there's games that feel very much like they're like on the ZX Spectrum or the Commodore or something, and then you get into like the NES territory and things like that. And they really don't go past NES, but even within that, and within those 50 games, you get sequels to games, and you see like some of the similar things we saw in real life, where like Zelda 2 is completely different from Zelda 1, but still sort of the same. Like, there's stuff like that. It's a solid collection. Yeah.
Are you unlocking games as you're paid? Like, are you giving 10, or you just have 50?
50. Go. They're all right there. It's a big old grid of 50. You just pick where you want to go. My approach has been, I started with the first one, and I kind of just play each of them until I get my fill. I was taking notes as I completed them, just to like keep memory of what the game was, and like I kind of like do it. And if I like, it depends on the game. Like if I run out of lives, I kind of determine, do I go again, or do I want to check something else out? Some of them are a little bit more easy to walk away from in terms of like, okay, I know what this is. I get it. I see the hook, but I'm not in the mood for this one right now. Others have a very simple hook, but they're very like my favorite. And now can't remember the name of it. But it's this, I'm trying to check my notes to see what it was, because it's so good. It's like Snake, but not. Magic Garden, that's the one. It's like if you combined Snake, like Nokia Snake, with Pac-Man, and you had like a scoring goal. You're basically moving around, and in Snake, you pick up the apple and your tail gets longer, right?
Right.
In this, you move through, you pick up a little thing, a little creature, and it follows you. And you keep doing that and picking up creatures, and they're all following you as your longer tail. But you have this sort of goal that is always moving. It's on a timer and it moves. And your goal is to kind of get all of the things following you, walk to that goal, and drop them off. But there's more and more other things, obstacles that get in the way that, it just gets more tough and tough. But it's one of those ones where, like, the more you keep doing it, you kind of just want to see that gameplay loop through. But yeah, that one I was bummed because I don't have a gaming PC and it only released on Windows. It's the first game in a long time where I was like, I just got to buy a Steam Deck, right? That's probably the right answer. And I ended up running it using Whiskey on Mac so that I could play it. But it's solid, dude. UFO 50, I think if you like Spelunky, it's a far different game from Spelunky, but same sensibility in design, obviously. And a lot of cool stuff in it. It's kind of a new Downwell in there from the guy who made Downwell, but you're going up. It's kind of more like if you combined Downwell with Metroid.
Okay.
That one's pretty weird and cool. But yeah, it's a solid game, and I'm excited to keep seeing it. Eggplant: The Secret Lives of Games, they are doing the year of UFO 50, so I've listened to a few of those, like as I've gotten through some of the games that I feel good about, like, okay, I can dive into spoilers and stuff like that. I'll go and listen to what those folks are all saying and talking about. It's a good time.
I'm gonna talk about a publisher that I haven't talked about in a good light in a long time. EA Sports.
Oh, right. The summer. Yeah.
They put out something really good. It is
How
NCAA
bizarre.
College Football 25. I mean, it's not perfect, right? But I had a lot of fun playing college football, and playing a football game made by EA Sports, in quite a while. I just think I don't know if they did it on purpose, but it just has this arcade feel, and I don't know. Again, just because of the skill level in college versus pros, just like a 90 speed like over a 70 speed is just more apparent in college football. Like if a team is just bigger and faster, they're going to manhandle you. That's how you see like this 70 to 10 games you see on a Saturday when you start looking at box scores.
Yeah.
And you really feel that. And it's fun to like take like a 1-star program, and then I don't know, like your schedule ends up putting you against like a Penn State or a USC or a Texas, and you just get manhandled just because like your roster is just not there. And yeah, so like I think the superstar mode has areas to improve. I would say that might be one of its weakest elements. I don't know the state of that game today. But at launch for the first few weeks, I was not asked to like do it has it, but I was not asked to do the Ultimate Team stuff.
Okay.
Don't know the state of it today after a few months, but they did not shove that down my throat, which I highly enjoyed. But the Dynasty mode, so good. It brings back all the good stuff of the old games. The recruiting is its own thing. Like I'm in the menus more recruiting than I am playing the game. and it's just as fun fighting. It being little old Maryland. Well, it's not so little compared to some other schools, but like being like a 3-star Maryland program trying to recruit someone away from like Penn State and trying to pitch like how your program is better than Penn State in ways. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun trying to uncover like potential recruits' likes and dislikes and how to pitch around that kind of stuff. But yeah, the game is fun, and that difference in speed, like it makes it feel like an arcade. I think they did it on purpose too, just a little bit. Like it feels more like an arcade football game than a simulation, but it definitely has a simulation stuff to it. But yeah, no, damn, it was a lot of fun, man. I played that for a solid month, and it got to the point I would have kept playing it, but it was like, oh shit, I got like podcast games I need to play again because
my bank, a thick September and October to get through.
My bank quickly dwindled. Now I don't know what the future is. I'm always hesitant when I say EA Sports, but credit is due where it's deserved, and this package, it was very good, and I had a lot of fun playing it.
Are they keeping it annual? Like, are they doing that?
I'm going to assume so, because why not?
Yeah. Double up. Did that drive you to Madden this year, or did you? No.
I actually, if anything, it took like that wanting to play football or a Madden out of my sales, because like I got the football game.
Interesting.
And it's like they have the licenses for most college athletes, which I know how people feel certain ways about athletes and their licenses and them getting paid or whatever. But like, it is cool to, if you're following college football, to be like, it's not just quarterback number 14. That is actually the person.
Like the last few years is the first few like where I've this intensely paid attention to basketball and playing. There was some game I was playing, some like an older NBA game, and it was just like, even if I played a new NBA game and a trade happened like pretty early in the season, it's like that dude doesn't play. And like when the rosters are off, like it just feels weird. So I can only imagine playing anything without, like, you just have these generic people on the team that just don't match up. Yeah,
but no, it's a good like the superstar mode. It was okay. Area for improvement. I hopefully that's like the thing that you start to look at. They didn't shove the Ultimate Team stuff down my throat. Dynasty mode was awesome.
That's cool.
And playing the game, just like playing football, was fun.
Which is all you can ask for. Speaking of competition, Nintendo released the Nintendo World Championship NES edition over the summer, and it rules. It's been a while since I've checked back in on it. I kind of hit my fill with it, but
well, you're a champion. You won.
I won. No, not really. I still have a lot more to go. You basically, I forget how many games it is. It's like 14 games or something from the NES, and it's challenges within each game, and there are time maximums for, hitting S rank, A rank, B rank, all of that stuff. And the whole goal initially is basically complete this challenge, get it under a certain time. You're earning coins as you do that, and then you use those coins to unlock new challenges. And it's very simple stuff. Like, you load up Super Mario Brothers, and the goal of your first thing is get the mushroom. And you just need to run quickly, hit the question mark block, get the mushroom. As soon as you touch the mushroom, clear. And it chucks you back to the menu. Or it lets you restart if you want to like run it again if you didn't get perfect time. That's all well and good, and it can sustain you for a while chasing your own sort of rankings. But it's the online part that kicks in, where there's two things. There's a tournament mode, and there's like a weekly challenge mode. They're basically different versions of the same thing. Everything is just recycling these same micro challenges. So the thing that sucks is like, in the regular single player stuff, you hit a point where you're like, I hate this challenge. I'm just going to skip it. It's fine. I got a B. No big deal. But when it comes up and it's one of 3 options you have for the weekly challenge, you kind of have to get good at it, or you're probably not going to win that week's thing. It's fun. There are some games that don't have, like some of the stuff in Balloon Fight feels weird today. Some of the stuff in Kirby's so floaty, it like doesn't fully work. But some of the others, like I can't remember, like some of the Zelda 2 stuff is really fun. Doing things where like properly learning the route through Kid Icarus was something I never did before, but like now I did it. I wish it went a little bit further with certain things. Like there's these things that happen. You get through all the challenges per game and you have a big mega challenge at the end. Right before that, they give you this cool, like fake fold out poster in the game to like scrub over. And in the Kid Icarus one, they draw an arrow around the path and they give you all these little tips and hints. It's like this really rad looking presentation. I wish they had just more of that everywhere, always. Just these little insights into the games. I wish they'd work that stuff into like the NES collection on Nintendo Switch Online and just like give you different manuals and maps and things. The other part of it I wish were a little bit better. It's like there's no direct head-to-head. Like I can't message you and be like, hey dude, do you want to do this?
Yeah.
And even the stuff that I'm talking about where you're playing online and competing for best times, you're not. You're doing your run, but it's like asynchronously taking 7 other people's best runs for that challenge and showing it to you in real time. It's a clever solution, but it's not actual real time. You can do local multiplayer, which I haven't tried, but it's a solid package. I think it was like $30, so it's not like a full price game. I think it's fun if you are looking for like those little mini challenges, that kind of thing. And ultimately it made me play more NES stuff, which was cool.
Sick. I wasn't going to talk about this, but just briefly, me and you both returned to Mario Kart 8.
We did. We should talk about the other one. The reason why we went to Mario Kart 8 to begin with. Right. Well, I mean,
Halo Infinite, that one map, I can't remember the name of it now. That's good. I don't need to know the name of that map. That map, it just terrible lag. I don't know what the hell. But yeah,
it was weird.
Infinite was, I don't know, the package, it just, as far as many good things as they were doing, just as many bad things were going on, and we just soured on it, and we switched to Mario Kart. And look, the online infrastructure is not anything spectacular. You are given a rating. The rating goes up if you place usually like top 3 and down if bottom 4, something like that.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like the roulette, it's like a tense moment on the roulette reel of like what map or what track it's going to be, and it goes through, and then some asshole picks random, and it's not even like you have two great maps, and then asshole random.
Yeah, you end up in like some dumb Luigi boring. Yeah,
Waluigi Stadium for the 8th time in a row.
Yeah, Mario Kart 8, I played so much of on Wii U that when it hit Deluxe on Switch, like, I had a good time with it, but I didn't play it, like, enough.
I didn't play a lot of it either at launch, and it was because, like, everything was unlocked for you. And it was like,
there was none of that to work for. What I did do was check in with all the DLC maps as they were added, but, it's still even that, like, wasn't enough. But, yeah, playing online together was fun, and pretty seamless overall.
Yeah, and it was kind of perfect, too, because usually at some point, me or you were first on, and like this is the complicated part. Like, you can't lobby up and then go into a thing. Like, you have to join on someone. Yes. But once you know that, it works, kind of.
Yeah, we just had to stick to Discord for communicating, because that...
Right, naturally.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone assumes we're using a Switch app.
No, not at all. Yeah, no, I had some good fun with that one. A surprise. I did have a surprising like time over the summer with the Switch. I wrote an article about that on the website, talking about what I wanted in Switch 2, but like it was in response to me sort of realizing how much time I'd been spending with the Switch. from like Pokemon to Euphoria to Shiren the Wanderer, the NES edition stuff, and then just playing Switch Online, like doing a lot of the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance things that were added there. Speaking in the family-friendly realm of things, Astrobot released in September. And I played that one through till I got the platinum. I liked that one a whole bunch. I think I like the pack-in game better than this one, just in terms of the overall package, and like I really liked the like raw celebration of PlayStation that happened in that one. Where Astrobot was more about celebrating the characters, not the PlayStation history stuff. But it was still like, that was another one where I finished playing it and I was like, all right, I want to go play Medieval. I did. I played like a bunch of Medieval after playing Astrobot because you just get exposed to all these characters again. Mm-hmm. I also returned to Oddworld because Abe's in it was all that stuff was really cool.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that got away from me this year that I will end up revisiting at some point.
Yeah, college football ate Astrobot for you, but it's good. It's a nice little thing that, you know, makes you feel nice about PlayStation. There's some decent challenges in there. It's a solid game, and it was refreshing in the wake of Concord, but also just what Sony's been doing in the last few years, which, like, I don't remember the last, I guess Spider-Man. But like my favorite PS5 game so far, we talked about it a couple weeks back when the PlayStation stuff, it's been the Spider-Man stuff. Like I played some Returnal and liked it. I played some Gran Turismo 7, liked it, but the rest of it, like Horizon, God of War, not for me. So,
well,
Astrobot was nice.
I guess let me talk about my maybe new favorite PlayStation 5 game.
Oh. Exclusive,
currently. Timed exclusive, most likely. A big old girthy boy named Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. The game that just never ended. But I wasn't mad about it either.
It would be the girth of Rebirth.
Yeah.
You were playing that forever.
It felt like forever. It certainly should have been forever, but I was just in it. Like, I never tired of it. Damn it! If you did not like Chadley, I don't know if this is going to be the game for you because there is a lot of Chadley popping up. Especially if you are trying to 100% each area before moving on. But yeah, I don't want to get into it's remake. It's part 2 of it. If you don't know where it ends, you could probably take a good guess at where it ends. It's. But the main thing is like they really again, I haven't played through a lot of the original 7 to this point, but what I've known of it, what I've seen of it, they did a great job fleshing out the worlds. Like the towns, like which are like 3 screens on 7. The Costa del Sol is such a cool area to be in. Going through the parade part, and like that's the other thing that these games are doing so well. Like what was just like a little mini game and like a half an hour section ends up being like this multi-hour experience. Fleshing through like the whole parade section. I can't remember the town it's in, but like the whole parade section, the little bit of rewriting they do here and there, I like a lot. Yuffie's introduced in a better way, I think, than just like the random potential encounter that it's it's an optional thing.
Yeah, the intergrade or whatever it was. Intergrade. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I meant it's just in the original game too. Like original game, like you have to look for her specifically and do actions, and they recreate some of those actions that you have to say do correctly here in a way. But no, it was an incredible experience. I'm curious what they do with part 3. I'm on the side of the fence where I don't think they fumbled the landing. I'm where are they going?
Sure.
Yeah. But no, it's more Final Fantasy VII. Or remake. It's that combat system. They fleshed it out even more. They added this whole companion, like duo move or trio move set. thing where if you up your relationship with your characters and your party, you unlock the ability to do more moves. They have this weird half-ass sphere grid thing that enables more moves with the companions. There's just so many systems on top of the materia system that pretty much doesn't change from remake. It's more remake combat, which is one of my favorite combats ever. Just across an open world that fleshes out more of that original Final Fantasy VII story, and I think in very interesting ways. And I'm curious to see the direction they go overall. But yeah, a lot of Chadley if you're not ready for it.
Yeah. It's platinum in this one too.
No.
Okay.
No, and funny enough, an article came out a few weeks back. The developer, I forget which developer, one of the main people, said that they know they made the platinum too hard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think they're going to come back a little bit on it. But I still don't have the platinum remake either, because you have to do the costume thing is so dumb. How it's not dumb, but the costume thing's a big blocker. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's stuff like that, but I won't get the platinum, but I have a hard mode playthrough still, right? I just beat it, I kind of dropped it. And I didn't realize, I should have... There is a point of no return, and then there is, the point of no return. Literally, it says, Aerith is waiting for you here. This is the point of no return. But there's one before that is 3 chapters back. Once you hit a certain chapter, it just is kind of goes. And then that second one's yo, equip up, you're here. So there's some stuff I missed when I completed the chapter, not knowing this was the end of the open world, that I'm gonna go back to before the hard mode stuff, and then go and see the hard mode stuff. But it's a long game, but it's a very good game. And I think it's my favorite game of the year.
Wow. Do you remember your runtime on it?
83 hours and 45 minutes.
Okay, that's not as bad as I thought. And now, yeah, all right.
With
still a lot of game.
And with me at the time of beating it, the brief review on the ending, which I didn't spoil anything, but just the payoff is a mess, but I enjoyed it.
The hot reactions as you watch the credits roll.
Yeah. 83 hours and 45 minutes. Yeah, that was big old game. I'm curious to see what they do with
Part 3.
Reunion. That's the easiest fucking prediction I should make in a month here, or no, next week I guess.
A week, yeah.
Yeah.
The title of it.
Well, I'm gonna a title. You think I'm gonna 8-word prediction? Are you fucking high?
Sure.
We're gonna talk about all Square Enix's releases and all 7 games that might be coming out in 2025.
I had a different transition before, but let's just talk about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Briefly. All right, so this was one that came out. We knew it wasn't going to be anything I was interested in, based on the live service stuff, based on whatever. The more we saw of it, the less I really cared to see of it. And when it came out, this is another Kyle Bossman stream where I said, all right, let me just see what's going on. I ended up watching Kyle play through the entire game. And I'm like, I kind of want to see it. Kyle seemed to have fun with it. And at that point, I'm through Pokemon Violet. I'm knee-deep in Midnight Suns. Maybe I ought to play it. But I knew it would go on sale at some point, so I should wait for the sale. In the meantime, I went wild. In terms of live service stuff, I was like, I'm going to play some Let It Die, because I loved Let It Die, and it's the best live service game that's ever been made. I'm going to do that. I've got way back into Let It Die for a little while. I then decided I would just listen to podcasts about comic books while playing Crackdown, and that was a great time. Also, Crackdown still holds up. And then eventually Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League hit sale. I think it was like $13.99 or something like that, or I don't even. It was cheap. It was very cheap. So I bought it, and I was like, I just got to do it because I couldn't stop thinking about the game and that I need to try it. So I did it. I'm happy I did it because there's no other way I would have gotten through this year without playing it. But it is. All the characters feel generally identical. The only one that's fun to move around with is Deadshot, or at least the only one that's fluid. Everybody else, there's like some hook to it that makes it just kind of a little weird. The mission variety is so few. It's just the same thing over and over again. There's no identity to Metropolis the way that there was with Gotham, where you just kind of you got to know the city, in and out and your way around. Like Metropolis doesn't have that, and even if it did, you spend most of your time running past it as quickly as possible anyway to go shoot little purple guys. All that's to say, the actual worst part of the game, and I will spoil Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League right now if you've not played it and you're like, it's on sale right now for $1. I can get it for free if I just shake someone's hand. Don't do it. The ending of the game, right? So the premise is Brainiac has brainwashed the Justice League. You play as the Suicide Squad. You've got to kill the Justice League to stop Brainiac, right? It's the only way to stop him. You do it. You kill the Justice League. You get to the end to fight Brainiac, and whoops, he switches form and takes on the form of the Flash. So the final boss fight is actually you redoing the Flash fight that you did earlier in the game, except no, it's purple. Then you don't do anything from that. Then it comes back and you're like, okay, there's 12 more Brainiacs out there. And that's them setting up the live service thing where you're supposed to go chase every season. You're supposed to go do another one of these things. And what's happened since launch is each of these seasons, it's not like, okay, well, this is the one where you fight Brainiac. It's like, this is the one where Brainiac takes on the form of Green Lantern again. This is the one where Brainiac takes on the form of Superman and also Green Lantern. It's just repeating the same boss fights. There's nothing there at all. The characters they've added seem like some of them are kind of cool, but also they all just move around sort of differently and shoot the same guns. I'm glad I saw it for me. I needed to see it through. I wouldn't recommend it to most people. I would recommend Crackdown. I would recommend Let It Die. I would recommend listening to comic book podcasts while doing that. But I wouldn't recommend the Suicide Squad game.
I thought you were just saying just recommend listening to comic book podcasts. I was like, that's a weird thing to put in a video game podcast, but all right.
But like, the thing that's disappointing is like it looks great. The cutscenes are amazing. The acting's fantastic. All the characters are there. Like, seeing the Justice League is so cool. Seeing all those characters in that universe fully rendered and moving and talking. It's like, and I know I opened this by saying I like the idea of, appreciating something for what it is rather than what it isn't. But man, why didn't you just make a Justice League video game?
Yeah.
It's, a weird game. But it led me into some fun, exciting things to come in season 13. So listeners, stay tuned for that in the coming months.
I got one more.
Yeah, you got one more. I want to maybe close on your one more because I think it's going to be the strongest.
Okay.
I've got two quick hits.
Okay.
Vampire Survivors, Ode to Castlevania. Have you heard of it?
Mm-hmm.
They finally added Castlevania to Vampire Survivors, and it rules because you actually go through the castle, and the map is basically, I forget what he said, the developer. It's something like 70% as big as all of the content they'd put out for the game previously. Like, it's huge. Like, you're
awesome.
working through a castle. Remember the warp zones in Symphony of the Night? You unlock those as you defeat different bosses, and then that's where, when you do your subsequent runs through the castle, it lets you get a jump start on a new area. You unlock every single protagonist that's ever been in a game,
That's
and
awesome.
a game that's been canceled. All of them are in there with different whips, different weapons, whatever respective weapon they're supposed to have. Tons of secrets. I'm nowhere near finished with it. And incredible remixes of all the songs. That one's top notch. And then I'll close out with, oh man, I forgot about Multiverses, but so did everybody. We don't need to talk about Multiverses. Thank Goodness You're Here is the last one I'll talk about, which is a game from a small studio. They worked with Panic, the folks behind the Playdate, but remember, Panic also has a publishing arm. They did Untitled Goose Game. I feel like anyone who liked Untitled Goose Game will definitely like Thank Goodness You're Here. You play as this little fella. You just kind of move around and interact with the world, and you slap things and solve kind of little world puzzles while you just laugh. It's really a funny game. I think on its own, a lot of the writing is just funny, and the situations you end up in, there's weird signs in the background that I literally would just cackle at and take a screenshot because it's just stupid. But also, if you're still not sold, Matt Berry does one of the voices, and he's fantastic.
Shit, there it is. Yeah.
Why
did you leave with that? It's like...
Yeah, but yeah, he's incredible as always. But yeah, the game itself is just, it's got a great sense of humor. It's fun.
Yeah, that's how, like, Untitled Goose... I don't remember. Did you play that?
No, I skipped it, but I remember it being...
I mean, that's pretty much what it was. It was like it put you as this goose into certain areas, and it would navigate you to it, and then it was just like a puzzle to figure out how to like get out of the thing.
Yeah.
And the puzzle elements were goofy. That sounds like fun. Is that everything you want to highlight, I guess?
Yeah, let's close out on the big one.
The big one was the one I spent 87 hours with. And I beat this one.
Fair.
I did not beat it. The old Shadow of the Erdtree, Elden Ring, the big old DLC finally came. It was awesome. It feels like an expansion. There's just something magical with the From Software games, and I think it's just the culture they've built around it, where if you're with the right people, it just becomes a lifestyle. And I'm in a fortunate situation at work where I work with some students, and I also have some coworkers that are into video games, and it became that thing where every day, especially on Mondays after the weekends, you come in and it's that secret language of just like, how do you tell someone you're in an area without telling them where you are or how you got there? And it's a lot of like, oh, you're there. How'd you get? I've been looking for that this whole like I ran around the entire area, and it's like, oh, dude, no, you gotta go north and then back down. And it's like, you gotta go north and up, not north and down. It's like, oh, you can go up north? Like, it's like, yeah, you gotta go look for a bridge, and there's a lift. You gotta look for the lift, and then turn left, not right. It's like, oh, shit, I gotta go home, go left now.
Was it a bit of that, like, Breath of the Wild conversation again?
Yes,
yeah, nice.
Yes, but it's a little bit more focused, than Breath of the Wild. It's 360, you just go, you point, and it's... And like here, there's very distinct landmarkers you can kind of like go off of, especially the bonfires. It's like Lost Graces, I think they're called in this game. I still don't remember the name of it. But like the site of Lost Graces, like you can kind of like, if you don't know the exact name of it, you can kind of make out in the world maybe a specific like 10, especially like off of a castle or whatever. So there was a lot of like landmarking that you could do. To like talk about areas you were in, but I think it was never going to please everyone. I think it pleased 95% of players. It's hard, and I'm glad they ended up patching some that they did. They readjusted the scaling pretty early on, like a week or so in. But but like I liked how they did the scaling. I think the Scadutree fragment system was a good one. Because, you had people all over the place. You had people that, just beat the game at, like, level 80. You had people that have spec'd out massively and done all the secrets or New Game plus 7 and all this stuff. I think the Scadutree fragment was a good answer. Maybe not the perfect, but, like, a good answer to all the stuff there. And, it's a good game. The world's not as fleshed out. The world, it's definitely not as big as the regular map, but I think some of the enemy design, some of the bosses are really cool, incredibly hard. I think Miyazaki is out of ideas, and he's just like, how can I make it harder? Yeah. The final boss, I've walked in. I haven't felt this defeated in a while. I think. Honestly, I think Melania was the last one that had me defeated for a while, and I eventually came back, and I did persevere. I've done it multiple times now. I persevered, but yeah, I'm just not. I'm not even get to the second phase yet. I'm struggling.
And you don't want to pull someone in with you, right?
No. Who does that? People I don't know. Not me. Not me. But yeah, no, it was fun. It was cool to be back in that world. And I was hesitant at first too. I was concerned because that's why I was playing Nier. In that, like, 3 weeks before that DLC comes out, I'm going into Automata. I'm like, I'm probably going to play through all of Automata because I'm like, I don't know. I'm just not in the Elden Ring mood. And I wanted to honor what I had said at the beginning of the year. It's like, I just wasn't in the mood for it. I know I will be. It's just not right now. And Automata crashed. And I was like, you know what? Let me turn on Elden Ring. Because the thing, I was a New Game Plus, and I did not have the area unlocked. I technically did not have access to DLC in my New Game Plus. I needed to progress my game to get there. So, knowing full well how to do that, I started, and knowing what the boss was and the area he's in, I was like, oh, fuck. Of course, right?
I remember it felt very much like, Matt's not going to play this at launch. Like, I genuinely believed you would not do it. And then it was like within 2 or 3 days of it launching, you were just like...
I got into a boss room. I don't even think it was that, the particular boss, the areas behind. I think it was like a boss to start to get into that area. And I died. I was like, I'm rough, rusty, or whatever. And these are all repeated one after another. I went in like that third arena. I was like, I'm getting it again. I'm seeing remembering the patterns. And I beat him. I was like, oh fuck. I remember this feeling. And then there was 3 weeks of prep of not only did I had the gate unlocked for like 2.5 weeks. It was just me polishing up my New Game Plus, including beating Melania again and doing all the end game bosses again and all that stuff. So yeah, no, it was a weird path to get there, but I got there. The game's a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of cool, interesting areas, new enemy designs, which are weird. I've never been so scared of a scorpion before, but they're there. Yeah, so... I if you enjoyed Elden Ring, obviously you're going to enjoy it. I think, it's called Shadow of the Erdtree. I think it's a touch of a shadow of the main game, but it's more Elden Ring. I just think, I think we've seen the best of that world in the main game. But it was nice to like have a new map to go through and see stuff again. And just relive that feeling. One more time before either it's Elden Ring 2 or they, go back to Souls or whatever the hell they decide to do next. But yeah, it was good. It was solid. An easy 9 out of 10.
Good. I'm glad that it paid off. I still, every now and then, I hover over that game in a store and I'm like, is it time? But I know the time it's going to take to get through that core thing. And I'm like, got other stuff, man.
I know you started Dark Souls 1. you should play Dark Souls 3. That's my recommendation to you.
3.
Dark Souls 3 feels like Bloodborne 0.5.
Interesting. I did want to, but it was always that thing, like, I felt like I needed to finish 1 and finish 2, and you know what I mean? Like, not need to, but, like, you know.
No. I mean, I'm yet to finish 3. That's going to be just one that I'll forever just kind of have there, ready to go for that itch, and just the last unknown, right? But, no, after... 1 is 1. 1 is the classic. The map design is the chef's kiss to map design I've always talked about. 2 is 2. To keep in mind, we talked about 2014 best games, and I did not mention Dark Souls 2.
No.
And no, 3 is very good. It plays fast. It kind of plays like Bloodborne, but without like the Bloodborne systems.
Okay.
But yeah, it's and weaponry and stuff like that. But it's a cool. It's a good follow up to Bloodborne if you're going back to Dark Souls.
All right, yeah.
It's more approachable. You probably beat it 40, 50 hours or so. Like, it's not the 100-hour game that Elden Ring is.
Yeah, that was the thing I knew would be just at its core take forever. We're not necessarily going to give out awards for 2024, but I do have some sort of questions to ask that are superlative in a way. Let's start with this one because I want to get the negativity out of here. What was your biggest disappointment in 2024, game-wise?
I don't think I had a big one. The DLC for Final Fantasy 16, The Rise of Tide, a little underwhelming. It felt short. I think it was cool to be back in that world, but and I don't think it had anything to do with it being post Final Fantasy 7 after me completing it or anything like that, but yeah, it just I thought it was going to be a little bit longer than what it was, but it was still fun. I'm glad, like I bought the expansion pass when that was announced, so I'm not mad. I got it or whatever. It was more 16. I got to hit things with a weapon again as old Clive, but
Clive Redfield. For me, the first thing that came to mind was Tekken 8. And
I've never played it.
I know, Tekken 8
I own it too.
Good. It's probably the best Tekken they've ever made, but like, I just didn't stick with it. So it's not like the game was bad or disappointing. I just didn't hang. I think I went so heavy in Street Fighter 6 last year that like trying to do that again just didn't feel right. And I don't know.
If Tekken 8 taught me anything, again, I agree with you. It's probably the best Tekken in like the 2 hours I played of it. But if I learned anything, it's Street Fighter 6 was an anomaly. I'm not I'm not fighting game Matt. This isn't, I played F1 on a steering wheel, and now I'm, the
king of racing games.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's not that. Fighting games aren't on my alley. It's just Street Fighter 6 was so good.
Yeah, it really was. Tekken's good. I beat the campaign or the story, whatever it was. I did some of the character stuff, but yeah, I just fell off of it. What was the best laugh you had this year in a video game?
Probably something ridiculous in South Park.
Oh yeah.
I can't think of the exact like a laugh. There's multiple. There was like twice in that game. Then they were back to back, and just ended up being where I said, "Oh my god, they're doing that."
Yeah.
I think those and then Rebirth actually has some good moments. 2 small dumb laughs. One seeing Red 13 on a chocobo is hilarious to see.
Yeah, just
there's also a sequence. I don't want to spoil it because it's really good. But the card game that you play in Rebirth, it's Queen's Gambit or something like that. That's the name of a show with Anya Taylor-Joy.
Name of a book.
That too. There's whatever the card game is, there ends up being like a tournament on a ship as you're going from one area to another. And there's a really cool moment that ends up being like the boss battle of that tournament.
Oh, that's cool.
That's a good laugh with the intro sequence. And then just fucking Aerith I made a sticker, the hang loose.
Oh yeah.
When she said that and just a little hang loose in Costa del Sol, I was fucking no good. I clipped it. I made a sticker. Like,
that's pretty good. I forgot about that. I think the obvious answer is something from Thank Goodness You're Here. But Yakuza Kiwami 2 I finished, and that has a ton of great, like, subtle comedy in it. And I will shout out Suicide Squad. There were a lot of, like, low-hanging fruit jokes that were just, like, eye-rolling, but there were a lot of really good jokes that I was like, you got me. Like, actual laugh-out-loud moments that were just, like, stupid and whatever. It was good. How about surprising? What was the most surprising game you played this year?
NCAA college football. I can't believe that game. It made me addicted, and I enjoyed playing a football game again. But yay, sports! I was so cautiously. I was like, how do I screw it up? How do I go to screw this up? I saw gameplay of it, and like just the commentating, like those like developer diaries thing that were voiced. The Kurt Herbstreit, who is a college football analyst, like did the voiceovers of. He was just explaining the systems, and I was like, "Holy shit! If they pull this off, this game's gonna be good." And they did. I can't believe it. I can't believe I'm sitting here saying EA Sports made it one of my favorite games this year. I never thought I'd say that again.
No, that's real weird. For me, Multiversus. Like, why am I still talking about this game? Why am I playing it? Why do I keep opening it? Why? But I do, and I am, and I don't get it. It's too slow. Like, I hate every time I step into it because I always feel like it should move faster than it is, and it's just, I don't know. But I wrote about it over the summer. I wrote about some of the characters I wanted to see, and I don't know. I'm surprised that I fell off like immediately after it launched, and then I came back to it in the last few months, and I just keep playing it. I don't get it. How about score or soundtrack? What game stands out to you?
7 Rebirth.
All the great themes, yeah.
It even leaked through. So the Rebirth album or soundtrack is not on Apple Music yet, but I could see how it impacted my Apple Music because in my like their version of Wrapped or whatever.
Yeah.
Spotify does it way better, by the way. Like my most listened to album, nothing new, nothing, not even an artist. It was just Final Fantasy VII.
It's pretty good. Yeah, it does it, man. It's cheating to say the Ode to Castlevania stuff and Vampire Survivors, so I'll say.
I mean, but it was
50.
cheating for me saying Final Fantasy VII, so.
Well, but still, you know. How about DLC? Do you have a favorite DLC or expansion?
Is it cheating to say the Elden Ring one just by default?
Nah, I think that makes sense. Because in the same turn, I'm going to say Ode to Castlevania. That was the one. Favorite ongoing game?
The answer I should be saying is Final Fantasy XIV. However, the hour count says different. It's still Rocket League. I still come back. It's like that bad relationship that just won't go away. You know, just sticks around and comes back around into your life. And it seems like it's always like this time of year and like or fall. I fall back in and come just I don't know. I'm like right now. I'm not going to play like tonight, but at some point this week I'll play a couple games. New season, actually, well, as this goes up, new season will be in full effect. But like, I'll see it through. I don't know if I buy the Rocket Pass, but it depends what though. It depends what car they put out because I still am using my Civic.
Oh wow!
I'm still using my Civic R from when I bought that like last year. So we'll see. They put it. I didn't play at the time to get it, but they did put it a Cybertruck.
Did you have to
the
play
Tesla?
Like? Was it part of the pass or whatever? Or?
I don't know if it was part of the pass or what, but yeah, I wasn't playing at the time when I saw that come through.
Halo Infinite, I think, is still my winner for this one.
That's probably a good answer too.
It's the game I put the most hours into this year.
That's true of me as well.
Yeah. And the most recent stuff they just did with the wintry update or whatever, it's all been solid. I really like the Halo 2 anniversary stuff they did for it. Had some weird connectivity things, like on my own and with you over the summer, there were some stupid things, but generally the game's still fun to play. I'm incredibly excited for the future of Halo, and it's cool that Infinite is still alive right now in the meantime.
Yeah, and we briefly mentioned some of the changes, but like we mentioned the way they do the playlist kind of queuing now, where you can just select like everything and just, kind of hop in organically between things. But they also changed like their entire netcode over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what game that far out post release is not a fighting game doing rollback netcode is doing that, especially for like a game that you might say, like, I don't want to say fail, because that's such a big word to use, but like, let's just be real. Halo's not where it used to be either.
No, not at all. But they just did another one too. I still, after our deep dive into Halo Infinite this year, I still get Mint Blitz video recommendations all the time. And I watched one, and there he was pointing out some change they'd made to, I don't even remember what it was now, but like a bunch of tiny changes that seemingly have been requested for a long time. Like, I think there's, with the renewed like Halo Studio stuff in the last few months, I think there's this like, okay, well, we should also make sure that Infinite is still, viable and good, and let's fix things that people are complaining about. It seems like it. So,
that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, even with the Delta mode they put in the Halo 2 anniversary stuff, a bunch of people, I disagree, but a bunch of people requested a BR be added to your standard loadout, because the initial standard loadout was just the new submachine gun they put in, the MA5K. And a bunch of people were like, I want a BR. And so they did it. They added the BR. So now you spawn in with BR and the...
wasn't that how it was, though?
It was, yeah. That's why people wanted it. But I liked it not being there, and because it just felt more casual, let's hang out. And now there's battle rifles. It's like, all right, we're playing Halo 2. You know what I mean? So it feels a little bit heavier. But last question before we just do a sweep through some news of the year. What game did you not get to or didn't get to play enough of?
So I just did play it. I didn't buy it. It came out at a bad time because I knew what was coming immediately after it. Yakuza, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth.
Yeah, me too.
For as much as I loved Like a Dragon, I need to play this game, and I just haven't.
It's another time sink, and for me, it was another one like where I came into this year thinking I'm going to finish games before buying a bunch of other games, and having Yakuza Kiwami 2 unfinished, I was like, let me finish that before I buy Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. And I did, but then I was like, I should play 3 instead. Like, I ended up not going to 8.
And like the other thing, this is a small thing. It's not really the thing preventing me from playing it, but it was just when I played Like a Dragon around the launch of Series X. It was something to play on that console, but I was also in the apartment, the one-bedroom apartment with Victoria at that point, and it was one of those games where I would play, and she would just kind of like sit there and just look at the absurdity of what is happening.
Yeah.
Like, Ichi just being like... just like being in suit and then transform into whatever job I have him. And she's like, what's going on? And then the lobster, calling a lobster, and, just... she was like laughing along the craziness of that game with me. Now that my setup's in the basement, that's out of the realm now. So, but it's that was like a small little thing. I was like, I don't mind playing this because she's actually enjoying this too.
Yeah. It's like it's still like watching a movie or a show together or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get to it eventually, but mostly for the Crazy Taxi minigame. The other ones, Metaphor ReFantazio was another one where I finished Persona 5 Royal. I got the platinum in Persona 5 Royal, and looking at the final
Congratulations, by the way, on that one.
Thank you. But looking at the final clock time of like 140 hours, I was like, bro, there's no way I'm buying Metaphor. It's just not going to happen. And I've heard nothing but great things about it. No way. Equally, Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D. I was like, I want it, but I don't have time for another RPG. I still haven't picked up Wizardry, the remake that Digital Eclipse did. And shout out to the Digital Eclipse Gold Master series that had the Lamasoft Jeff Minter story come out this year and Tetris Forever. I still want to pick both of those up, but have not.
Oh, you mentioned HD remake. Another one that I didn't. I think I would have bought it. It's just that it released on the same day as Elden Ring's DLC. Shin Megami Tensei 5. They're like repackage that they usually do, and I would have picked it up a PlayStation, but again, you got to do what you got to do, but they kind of Tomb Raidered that game.
Yeah, dude, like, it's a shame. Because I did read some people who played it, and they were like, it's so much better than on Switch. There's a lot of stuff they added where you can speed things up. You can save anywhere now. There's not like, there's a lot of quality of life improvements. I'd watched a video that Atlas put out where it was like, here's 83 things we changed from the game or something like that. And it was a significant amount. Like, I still might go back to that game at some point, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not ruling it out, but it's just like, there's a reason why it wasn't downloaded on my PlayStation that day.
Yeah. All right, let's do I don't know. Do you want to do a sweep of news?
It's going to be quick.
All right. Sweep of news for 2024. In video games, we saw a ton of layoffs and a ton of studio closures, which just sucked as a direct sort of result of all the acquisitions and mergers and loans and everything else.
And state of economy at that point too.
I mean, all of the above. Everything is, everything's compounded. The plus side of some of that stuff, where there is some, we did see some studio spin-offs. So Toys for Bob spun out of Activision and went independent. Tango Gameworks, although shuttered, was reopened by a new parent company. I believe it was Kraft that picked them up, right? The people behind PUBG.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't remember who got them.
And Argonaut came back. Yes, that Argonaut. We saw the 3DS and Wii U online play shut down this year. We also saw Game Informer shut down this year after 33 years as a magazine. Fun fact about Game Informer's shutdown in August, Matt. In July, for my birthday, I believe on my birthday, I got an email that said, I don't even know why I was on Game Informer. Or I think I looked up an article and landed on their website. And then I'm looking at it and it was like, hey, you can keep print magazines alive. Subscribe for 2 years for like $22 or something. I was like, that would be a fool not to. It'd be cool to have new magazines show up every month. Why not? I signed up, didn't even get the first issue, and they got shuttered.
Damn.
Yeah. It was wild. Just a weird
first your Coca-Cola #1 fan club. Now Game Informer.
I should check into that and see whatever happened if they revived that. Right after that, Sony did a nice turn it on, turn it off again with Concord and never turned it back on. Which, that sucks for that team. It gives me hope that the ship is turning.
Yeah, we talked about this 2 weeks ago. I hope. I hope this is their all right, we can't get too cookie cutter moment.
Not just them, not just Sony though. I hope everybody sees it. I hope Warner Brothers looks at that and they say, let's not make another Suicide Squad mistake.
Well, I'm concerned Warner Brothers might just close, we can't make games, so we're going to close studios. Yeah. That's my concern.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
where's that Wonder Woman game?
The live service stuff, I think it works where it works, but it's not a
It's got to be organic. And it's so touchy. Like, I mean, stuff earlier this year. You talk about games we didn't play, but like Helldivers 2 took off. It's like organically, word of mouth, and then Sony did that dumbass thing on PC where, oh, you need a PSN, and then it just completely killed any momentum that game had. I'm sure it's still doing all right in most areas that were affected by the PSN necessity. I know they pulled back on it, but like I don't think they're selling it in those territories or something. It's something weird.
Like that.
Yeah. But it's just like all that good word of mouth of that game, and like I was probably 1 week away from suggesting to like a Call of Duty person, like, you want to check out Helldivers?
Yeah.
And then all that happened, and I was like, yeah, nope, never mind.
I was thinking about it for something to play earlier in the year, and then I was just like, play something else.
Yeah, no, but I hope they realize like this live service stuff kind of sucks if it's not done right.
Well, it didn't. I don't know about lessons learned because they put out a PS5 Pro. So,
I mean,
I know it was inevitable, but man, the people who got it seem happy with it. It's for them, not me.
The price concerns me.
Yeah.
Not that I was like gonna itching to buy PS5 Pro, but the price.
No, but when you say, "Hey, here's how much it costs," and people say, "Okay, here you go, I'll buy it."
Yeah,
you're
too
sending a message that people will buy it. So, what does PS6 look like? What does the inside of the Nintendo Museum look like, which finally opened its doors this fall? Have you seen some of the stuff that's there?
No, I know it opened, and then I haven't really seen much since.
I would recommend checking out the Nintendo Direct they did, where Miyamoto gives you a little tour of things. It gives you a nice.
Oh yeah, I forgot they did that. Yeah,
it was neat, like seeing how they're doing things. Like the one thing that's really cool is, Nintendo was a toy company prior to making video games, so they set up these rooms that look like they are in the era of which that toy was made. So like one of them was like a little indoor baseball thing, and they set up all these little fake things on a bookshelf, and you sit there and you have to hit like basically a ping pong ball into these things, and you knock them down and they make Mario sounds. But it's all very like functional and interactive. And
I know it's probably not of the era, of course, but did he use Virtual Boys as teas so that way they break one, it's one less they don't have to admit having?
Talk about the Virtual Boy, but it has an even amount of attention paid to it in the merch section of the store of the museum as every other console. Like
look, don't let the sharpness of the red fool you from. Just a little bit of red makes it seem like it's a big deal.
They've got all the keychains and whatnot, all the controllers. They have these things that they had to start limiting to one per person per day, or I don't remember, something like that. They're huge controllers, like the Wii Remote controller stuffed. It's like a stuffed Wii Remote. I believe it's like full body length. So they're these massive things that apparently were selling out like crazy. They've got a ton of stuff there. It seems cool. The next time I go to Japan, I'm going to try and book tickets to it. But it's neat that Nintendo finally did that. I still don't think it's as deep as any of us want them to really go with showing off Nintendo history, but it's cool that there's something.
Look, they got to start somewhere, right?
That's true.
I'll take it.
That's true. Xbox.
What is an Xbox?
Everything's an Xbox or not an Xbox?
Are we to the point where if it can run Doom as an Xbox?
I guess technically, right? They own Doom now.
Oh, shit.
So, yeah.
God.
Yep. I think you just figured it out. So that pregnancy test from that one guy's post online is an Xbox, apparently. What else have people hacked that makes no sense?
The touch bar on the old school, well, not it's old school now, I guess, but those MacBook Pros, one of which I had.
The inventory gun that your cousin uses at the grocery store, that's an Xbox. Where do you think Xbox is dead?
No, there needs to be a bigger sign of them waving the white flag. I just feel like they're in a weird transition phase, and they're figuring out what they are, even though they're saying this is Xbox.
No, and I think they're honestly getting there.
They've sunk way too much money to give up this easy.
I think so. Yeah, I think so, and I think the push we're seeing into other platforms and other things, it's exactly what Phil has talked about before, where like you and I aren't spending any more money than we used to spend, right? And the problem is games that are coming out, Concord, Suicide Squad, whatever else, they're all trying to get more money out of us, and it's just not going to happen. So how do you get more people to come into this ecosystem? And you do it by making it easier and more accessible to do so.
Look, they're on to something, because me and you are back as Game Pass members, and it was a little game called Call of Duty Black Ops 6 that kind of did it. So, right, like, it's kind of working, whether or not it's like you're thinking about it working.
You know what else?
Like, I'm back, and I'm probably back for the foreseeable future. Like, I'm locked in, I think, pretty much for this month, because I'm still playing Black Ops.
Yeah.
Though, don't want to spoil Season 13 too much, but there's especially a game early on that's on Game Pass, so I'm sticking around.
Yeah.
And then, like, again, I don't see me... I don't know. It's going to take something crazy, or just me getting so burned out Call of Duty, because even me visiting it like twice a week is enough for me to like warrant
the Game Pass. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I didn't have Game Pass up until Black Ops came out, and I did it to try that, but I also knew I would use it for some other things. But I transitioned to Xbox pretty hard this year as like my main platform. And it's probably something to do with me buying an original Xbox and just sort of feeling like that weird nostalgia or whatever. But I don't know. My PS5 just, I don't know. I've just moved so far away from what Sony's been doing. And
I still launched that PS5 first. I have to like brush off the dust off my controller on an Xbox. But a part of that is just because of their Play Anywhere initiative. Like, I have over 130 hours in Halo Infinite. It's just they're all to my immediate left.
Yeah, if I had a PC, I wonder what that would look like for an Xbox. You know what I mean? Like, I'd probably be in the same boat as you. But the thing I still love about Xbox is I've got original Xbox and 360 games and Xbox One games all on my hard drive, and they all run great. They all run fast. They just work. All my saves work. I haven't really gone into this, but I still have the One S hooked up upstairs. Like, I could do cloud saves to easily jump between consoles and play some of the older stuff that works there. I don't know. I also really like the controller.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about 2 weeks ago, when was that episode? 2 or 3 weeks ago now, the PlayStation episode, where you dreamed of them
3 weeks back.
Where you dreamed of just putting a disc. Like, Xbox is kind of doing it, and not to spoil things, but like, we're going to take full advantage of it in Season 13.
Yeah.
With at least a couple games, if not more.
Oh, yeah. No, 100%. No, it's solid. And I mean, I know that's a metric that gets thrown around in interviews where Phil says stuff like engagement is at its all-time highest. And like, I think you hear that and it's easy to scoff at it and whatever, but like, here I am. Like, dude, I played I think almost every game I talked about this episode, I bought on Xbox. If I could, right? Like, obviously the Nintendo stuff you can't. But everything else, like, I bought it on an Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, PlayStation's winning the console hardware sales, but ask me how much money I put towards PlayStation the last 3 months, and how much I put towards Xbox. Would that be touching an Xbox?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, I think they're far from gone. I hope that the like bad shakeups of post-acquisition stuff are done, and they can figure out what next looks like. I also hope that
games
cloud
coming
streaming,
out, man.
Yeah, games would definitely help. I really wanted a handheld.
I've been pounding that drum of like, oh man, like 2 years away from correcting the ship, and I feel like I've been saying it for like 6 years now. It's just they gotta just get the games. I don't know what is going on in their development cycles. And when games come out, they're not hitting or they're not good. Like I'm curious about Indiana Jones. Like as someone that doesn't want to play that game because I'm boycotting because that should have been a Wolfenstein game.
Yeah,
like I'm curious how that game does.
Yeah, and I don't know. We'll see. Streaming's got to get better though. The fact that I can't play Vampire Survivors via streaming, and that game's intense. I know it doesn't seem like it is, but it does do a lot. But the fact that like I can't do that while I'm in my bed on an iPad, and you're telling me that this is an Xbox, it ain't no Xbox. I can promise you that. They did finally start rolling out the like play your games via cloud streaming, which instead of having to use remote play, so you just kind of remove that element. That's nice, but yeah. 2025. Oh wait, I'm sorry. We have one more news story to cover. The Game Scent. How's your Game Scent doing?
I don't even know what this is. I don't remember what
you don't
remind me what this is.
The Game Scent was the hit for a week. Jeff Keighley tweeted about it. I watched personally Jeff Gerstmann stream the setup of this thing. It basically looks like a bubble machine that you fill with vape pods, and they emit scents depending on what you're playing.
Okay, all right. I know what this thing is. Never mind.
I was
thinking you put this so late. I thought it was something that just came out.
No, I put it in. It's just like the most important news story to close.
Did we try this before in like the 90s?
Yeah, the 90s did it.
So what made us think this was going to be?
Well, because this time it connects to your Wi-Fi network, and it's totally safe to do that. So, yeah.
Can I attach vape pens to it and
basically
peppermint weed?
See, now you're talking. Yeah, they made like a gun smoke smell. It's a stupid thing. It's insane. If you've not seen it and you're curious, Jeff Gerstmann's he did the science for you. Go watch that. The better part was like his podcast the week after he did the stream with the Game Scent, because he talked about how terrible the room smelled for the rest of that week. It's pretty good. Let's close out 2025. What do you want to say looking ahead at 2025?
Dude, are we... I think it's worse than this time last year. What the hell are we playing?
Well...
Because we have an idea for maybe some podcast episodes, but there's a lot of TBAs to some release dates.
The only important release date is already out there, and it's February 28th.
I am looking forward to that, to Wilds. I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, but
Wilds should be pretty good. I'm stoked for that. I'm also stoked that it's cross-play, because I have moved to be mostly Xbox, but like trying to go backwards to Rise or anything else, like it just wasn't going to work.
Great, so I can play on PC. Perfect.
Exactly. Yeah.
Love that.
So, yeah, I'm excited to see new announcements, new games. I am also excited for everything we've got planned. I'm already in the thick of playing some Season 13 stuff for us.
I started. I dabbled a little bit.
Yeah.
First one's been been a gem again. Just in
Yeah.
like 2 hours.
We're gonna have a good season next year. Mostly, there's a couple. I made sure to pepper in a little bit of nonsense.
Yeah, no. After the gem, there's some hard times coming quickly.
Yes. Until then, which is only a week away. Happy New Year to all out there. Enjoy the rest of 2024 while you've got it. We'll be back next week to kick off season 13 proper. Until then, thank you, Matt. Thank you, listener, for listening. As always, see you next time. Bye.